So the next thing to do is to make sure that it works, because a clean lighting instrument is great, but it's not great if light doesn't come out of it. So we're going to plug this bad boy in, and the light comes on. That's a great thing. Now, can you get a shot of this wall? Because I want to notice that this light, you can see the soft edge, right? You can see the pool of light in it. But by adjusting where the lamp is in relation to the lens, I can make this very small, or spot focus, or very wide, like that wide, or flood focus. That's what makes this a flood instrument. And that's another thing that we check. Does the light allow it to go back and forth? So that's why we turn it on. Does the light come on? And does it function as a spot and a flood instrument? So looking at this again, you can see here's the adjustment. And if it's all the way towards the front, that makes the light to come out flooded. And then you turn the thumb screw, turn it all the way towards the back, and tighten it. And that's what makes the beam of light spotted. Here at the Seaside High, there's probably not a whole lot of reason to use a spot unless we're going to isolate one actor. But because of the amount of lights that we have here, it's hard to just dedicate a light for an actor. So we want to make sure that we get the maximum amount out of them. Now, if I put all the lights all the way towards flood, then each light would be able to cover the entire stage from where they are currently. And that wouldn't give us a whole lot of differentiation in case we wanted to make one side of the stage dark while the other was highlighted. So we set most of these halfway in the middle between spot and flood, which I call cleverly spud. So all our lights will be set spud when we're done cleaning them, and then we'll put them up on the trees, and then we'll focus them again. Every stage light also comes with the ability to be colored. Here's a gel frame. The gel frame goes into the gel frame holder, and then we've colored our lights. And normally, one of the theories of lighting, of theater lighting, that's been very popular since the 50s is a method called the McCandless Method, developed by Stanley McCandless, who decided that since we live in the northern hemisphere and light comes from about 45 degrees off the horizon, to mimic the light of the sun, one side will be 45 degrees off from center and 45 degrees up, and it will be warm like the sun. But when you go outside, you notice that the sun doesn't when you're facing the sun, your other side of your face isn't dark. It's also filled in, but it's not directly lit. That's called fill light. So the other side of the stage would be a cool color or a complementary color on the color wheel. And so it would also be 45 up, 45 over, so you'd have a pink and a blue, or an amber and a lavender to mimic the sun. And that's what we attempt to do here, so that we can give some differentiation between one side and the other. And each lighting design is dependent upon the show that it's going to be used for. So while we could hang the same lights at the same time and keep them the same color all the time, that wouldn't be doing a good service to the show. We do have here what's known as a repertory plot. What we try and do with a rep plot is to make it do the maximum amount of work with the minimum amount of lights, which is what exactly we need here at the Seaside High. So we'll have one side of our lights in a warm palette and the other side in a cool palette. And we'll use the same basic system, which is 4 lights on either side, 1, 2, 3, 4 areas from one side, 1, 2, 3, 4 areas from the other side. But color is what's going to make one show different from another. And that's something that everybody who works on lighting should think about. Where is the show that we're doing set? What time of day? Do we have daytime and nighttime scenes? All these things have to be thought about when we're choosing color. And that's another lesson for another day as well, but I just thought I'd bring that up. So the final thing about care and maintenance of your lighting instruments is that once we're done caring for and maintaining our lighting instruments, they have to go back up into the rep plot. So the lights that we have here at Seaside High are specific to these lighting trees. And so now we're going to reinstall the light up into the lighting tree. At MPC, all of my lighting instruments have C-clamps. So since we don't have these fancy schmancy trees, what we do have is pipes that we hang things on. C-clamp looks like this. That's why I get a lot of C. We're so clever in the theater. The clamp comes over the pipe, and then a bolt comes up through it, and I tighten it down until it's tight onto the pipe. These fancy schmancy trees don't require that. They have only one kind of connection. And that is, there is a bolt that goes through the yoke of the lighting instrument, then goes through the fancy schmancy connector on the tree. There's a washer that sits on the bottom of the bolt, and then a thumb screw that tightens it up underneath. Now, the light is tight, and it's pointed in the right direction. The last thing to do is to plug it in. Where'd you get this one? There you go. And now the system is back to being operational in a rep plot mode. Every show may require that somebody gets up here and changes or focuses the light and the direction that it may be. Sometimes we may find that one light may want to cover the whole stage, or we may have the ability to use one light to pick an actor out of the crowd. And we would come up here and we'd go between spot and flood. We would spot it for a highlight, or we would flood it for the entire stage. We would recolor it for every show. And that is care and feeding of your lighting instruments. So our basic order of operations in the care and feeding of lighting instruments goes like this. We clean the exterior of the lighting instrument to make it aesthetically pleasing for our audience. Then we spritz the outside of the lens and clean the outside of the lens. We spritz the inside of the lens and clean the inside of the lens. We take the lamp out and spritz the lamp and clean the lamp and the envelope, which we call the bulb. And then while the lamp is out, spritz the reflector and clean the reflector, put the lamp back in, close up the lighting instrument, rehang it, bring the light up, or turn it on rather, and bring it up so that we can see that it works. Run the reflector back and forth so we make sure that the flood and spot operation are working correctly, and then restore it to its position in the rep plot. Basic order of operations, and it takes about 10 minutes per lighting instrument, and that we have 8 lighting instruments here. That hour and a half is so well spent it'll keep your lights fully operational for yet another year.